All right, in the last video in section 13.5, you learned about how to use the definition of sine to find the area of a triangle. And we're going to use that formula for area of a triangle to derive what is called the law of sines. Now, the law of sines works for all triangles, not just right triangles. It works for all of them. It is used to find missing side lengths and angle measures. It can be used for either. Okay? That's the purpose of the law of sines. And it's used for any type of triangle. Now, what I did here in red is I wrote the three formulas to find the area of this triangle right here, which we derived and figured out from the last video. Obviously, if I'm going to find the area of this triangle, any one of those three can be used if I'm given those pieces of information. Now, to derive the law of sines, I'm going to do two steps. Very simply, I'm going to times the entire equation by 2. So I'm going to distribute the 2 to each part of my equation. What that's going to do basically is cancel out the halves. So when I times by 2, the halves will go away, and I'm left with AB sine of C is equal to AC sine of B, which is equal to BC times the sine of A. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by ABC. I'm going to divide the whole thing by ABC. And what you're going to discover then is, for instance, here the A's and the B's cancel out. Here the A's and the C's cancel out. And here the B's and the C's cancel out. And what you're left with is the law of sines. What it says is sine of angle C over how long side C is equal to the sine of angle B divided by how long side B is, which equals the sine of angle A over how long side A is. That's the law of sines. And what it says is you can take any two pieces and set them equal to each other to figure out how long missing sides or missing angles are. I'm going to show you how it works on the next slide. But copy that down, make sure you write that and highlight it. Now, before we talk about how to use it, the law of sines only works in these situations. First of all, I'm going to rewrite it. Sine of angle A over little a is equal to sine of angle B over little b, which is equal to sine of C over little c. That's the law of sines. When does it work? Well, first of all, it works if you are given information AS, or angle side angle, or, angle side, or angle side angle. In those two situations, the law of sines will always work. You have nothing to worry about. However, if you're given side-side angle, which you'll see in the next video, this will not always work because there are conditions for this situation to work. That's the topic of the next video. But for this video, we're going to talk about 1 and 2 and the situations that it will always work. So again, copy that down. Make sure you understand that it always works if you're told angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. Like on this problem here. The directions say solve the triangle. Now, when you're given these directions, what it's asking you to do is tell me all pieces of information. How big angle A is, how big angle B is, how big angle C is, how long side A is, how long side B is, and how long side C is. It wants all those pieces of information. That's what solve the triangle means. Well, what pieces of information do we know? Well, we know angle A is 33 degrees. Okay, we know that. We know angle C is 28 degrees. And we know, this would be side A. We know side C is 15. Okay, that much we know. Now, let's talk about finding the other sides. Now, what information do I have? I have angle, side. So therefore, from the prior slide, I can use the law of sines. Well, when you see the law of sines, which says sine angle A over little a equals sine angle C over little c, they're talking about the opposite sides. So I know angle C and I know side C. I know angle A, but I have to use it to find little a. So this is what I'm looking for if I use that part of the law of sines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write sine of angle A, which is 33 degrees, over little a is equal to sine of angle C, which is 28 degrees, over little c, which is 15. Now, I can cross multiply and divide. I have two fractions equal to each other. So I'm going to times these two together, 15 times sine of 33, and I'm going to divide by sine 28. So in other words, I basically have this. A times sine 28, if I cross multiply that way, is equal to 15 times sine of 33. And then, of course, in order to figure out and solve for A, I'm going to divide by sine 28 on both sides. Sine 28. So these will cancel out. And if I type that in my calculator, I find out that side A is equal to 17.402. So that's how long side A is, 17.402. Okay, that leaves me angle B and side B. All right, so I'm going to do a little erasing on the inside of my triangle here. Now, we can obviously figure out angle B because these three angles have to add up to 180 degrees. So therefore, 33 and 28 is 61. And then minus from 180, angle B is 119. So I can fill that in. Angle B is 119 degrees. Now, what I need to do is use those information to figure out how long side B is. All right, well, I'm going to erase all this stuff. I'm going to start over. Now, do I know angle A? Yes, I do. Do I know side A? Yes, I do. I just figured that out. So then I'm going to use that information and help me find side B using the law of sines, which says sine of A over A equals sine of B over B. So I'm going to fill in the information. Sine of angle A is 33 degrees over side A, which is 17.402, equals sine of B, which is 119, divided by little b. And again, I'm going to cross multiply. And if I do that, I get B times sine 33 is equal to 17.402 times sine of 119. And just like I did before, I'm going to divide by sine 33. Sine 33, so these cancel out. And if I do that, I find that B is equal to 27.945. And these ought to agree, because you guys learn in geometry the biggest side better be opposite the biggest angle. And if you notice, that's the case. The biggest side and the biggest angle are across from each other. And the smallest angle better be across from the smallest side, which is the C's. And that agrees as well. So double check and make sure that your answers make sense in terms of the fundamentals and the basics of a triangle. But people, that's what the law of sines is and how it works. If you got questions, please ask.